Sagicor advantage, bank with ease, as you please, like a breeze, pay no fees, rain or shine, save your time, it's so fine when you bank online.
Finally, there's a savings account that meets your need for speed and ease. Sagicor Bank e-Advantage. Bank online. No monthly fees. Unlimited free Sagicor Bank ABM withdrawals. Interest on your money. Sagicor Bank e-Advantage.
It's so fine when you bank online.
Open your Sagicor Bank e-Advantage account today.
Sagicor advantage, bank with ease, as you please, like a breeze, pay no fees, rain or shine, save your time, it's so fine when you bank online.
Finally, there's a savings account that meets your need for speed and ease. Sagicor Bank e-Advantage. Bank online. No monthly fees. Unlimited free Sagicor Bank ABM withdrawals. Interest on your money. Sagicor Bank e-Advantage.
It's so fine when you bank online.
Open your Sagicor Bank e-Advantage account today.
Sagicor advantage, bank with ease, as you please, like a breeze, pay no fees, rain or shine, save your time, it's so fine when you bank online.
Finally, there's a savings account that meets your need for speed and ease. Sagicor Bank e-Advantage. Bank online. No monthly fees. Unlimited free Sagicor Bank ABM withdrawals. Interest on your money. Sagicor Bank e-Advantage.
It's so fine when you bank online.
Open your Sagicor Bank e-Advantage account today.
Sagicor advantage, bank with ease, as you please, like a breeze, pay no fees, rain or shine, save your time, it's so fine when you bank online.
Finally, there's a savings account that meets your need for speed and ease. Sagicor Bank e-Advantage. Bank online. No monthly fees. Unlimited free Sagicor Bank ABM withdrawals. Interest on your money. Sagicor Bank e-Advantage.
It's so fine when you bank online.
Open your Sagicor Bank e-Advantage account today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our financial session. Again, another one from Sagicor. Certainly at Sagicor Bank, we like to say that, not like to say, but we actually remain committed to really improving the lives of our clients. And in an effort to really give back to where we do business, or to whom we do business with. At the start of the year, we began hosting most of what we call a financial enrichment session across our branches. However, certainly you would have known that these sessions, they sort of ended abruptly because of the constraints brought on by COVID-19 pandemic, which has now resulted in us hosting these well-received sessions online. This certainly is historic because this is our first virtual financial enrichment session, and it's being streamed from the Sagicor Group, our Danny Williams building. And this evening we'll be exploring the topic of funding your child's educational dreams. For this staging, we have gathered a panel, very experienced persons, and if I may say, very experienced ladies. And they will speak about planning for your child's education, the opportunities available to pursue tertiary studies locally and overseas, certainly, and they'll also be looking at the different options available to fund same. We have an exciting evening planned with certainly prizes and surprises for all our viewers. And we also understand that each client is unique. And with this in mind, we invite you to participate in the panel discussion, which will follow the presentations. Our virtual financial enrichment sessions will continue across, well, not necessarily our branches, but they will continue virtually. And I'm asking you that you join us as we look at different areas and different aspects to help you grow on your financial journey. So welcome, and I thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Mike. Good afternoon to my socially distant in-studio audience, and a very warm and special welcome to our viewers joining us live on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My name is Clinton Hunter, and it's my distinct pleasure to guide you through this afternoon's presentation. In fact, we'll be looking at the topic, as Mike indicated earlier, funding your child's education dreams. We have a very erudite panel lined up to help us to, unravel this topic this afternoon. With me in studio on set is Mrs. Natalie Wedderburn, who is our business development manager in charge of the business development unit at Sagicor Bank. Mrs. Kerry Ann White, director student recruitment at the University of Technology, Jamaica. Ms. Kerry Ann Forrester, mortgage officer at Sagicor Bank. Mrs. Nikisha Bonick Magnus, assistant branch manager, Dominica Drive, Sagicor Bank. And joining us online are Mrs. Bolero Horton, who is the assistant registrar recruitment at the University of the West Indies Mona campus. And of course, she is joining us via Zoom. Also online is Mrs. Nicole McLaren Campbell, founder of AIM Educational Services, also, as I said before, joining us via Zoom. We'll be taking some questions at the end of the panel's presentation. If you have a question for a member of the panel, we ask that you state your question using the hashtag #AskSagicor in the comment section. Stay tuned and participate for a chance to win book certificates valued at $10,000 and Star Savers gift certificates valued at $20,000 towards opening your very own Star Savers account. Let me begin this afternoon by going across to Ms. Natalie Wedderburn, who will be taking us through our Star Savers product. Natalie.
Thank you, Clinton. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Clinton said, I am Natalie Wedderburn, Business Development Manager within the Business Development Unit at Sagicor Bank. Now, I'll be starting off by introducing the Sagicor Bank Star Savers account. This is an option that parents can use to start saving for their child's educational expenses. It is very important that we start saving early, from infant stage, primary, prep, up to high school. And I would like to mention some of the benefits of savings. Now, one of the most important reasons why one should start saving early is the power of compounding. This allows you to earn extra money on the interest that you would have received on your initial deposit. So when you start saving early, you have a longer period to build up to a substantial amount where you can earn more interest. As a parent, I started savings plans for my children at an early age. And I remember my daughter, who is now 16, had said to me, from she was younger, "Mommy, I want to be a pediatrician." And as parents, we want to ensure that we can do everything within our power to assist our children in realizing those aspirational and educational dreams that they have. So the Sagicor Bank Star Savers account is one such option that we can use. Another underlying option that we can use, that we benefit, that we can derive from savings is financial stability. So we put aside an amount from our salary up front, you know exactly how much you have left. So in the process of saving, you develop that habit of spending less. You start differentiating between what you want and what you need. So you start developing financial discipline, that we all need in our day-to-day lives. Last but not least, we have managing risk. A savings account is one of the safest ways to save money, for those persons who are risk averse. The Sagicor Bank Star Savers account, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, is an option for us parents to start saving for our child's educational expenses. It is an easy account to open, and it is joint with the parents, so the child is involved in the process. You can open your Star Savers account with as little as $200. There is no minimum monthly deposit required, so you determine how much and how often you want to deposit to this account. Account holders can get a debit card at the age of 12 years old. Now, this will help you develop financial responsibility and discipline in your child. You know, teach them how to use a card. They can pay for the lunch, make small purchases. And it's also a sanitized way for them to do this now, given what is happening with COVID. And we don't want our children to be handling cash. You can also show them how to keep track of their savings. So as Clinton said, ladies and gentlemen, there are lots of prizes and surprises to be won now, but I want us to stay tuned because there are more exciting things to come on our Sagicor Bank Star Savers account. And for more information, I invite you to visit our website at www.sagicor.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalie. And to our viewers joining us online, here's your chance to win a Star Savers gift certificate valued at 20,000 Jamaican dollars. In the comment section, tell us 2 of the requirements for actually establishing a Star Savers account at Sagicor Bank. The first person on each of our social media pages will be, with the correct answer, will be selected. At this point, we'll take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
I am just a little girl, but I have big dreams. And one day, all my dreams are going to come true. That's why I'm glad Mommy opened a Sagicor Bank Star Savers account for me. It's the best gift she could ever give me. Because one day, I won't be little anymore. And my small savings are going to grow big. I even got my own debit card. Give your child a gift that will grow. Open a Sagicor Bank Star Savers account today.
Thank you so much. Welcome back to our viewers. Of course, financing and planning for education at any level can be a challenge. And of course, even more so at the tertiary level. With us this afternoon to take us through planning at the tertiary level, primarily looking at the opportunities that exist at the University of Technology, Jamaica, is Ms. Kerry-Ann White, who is the Director of Recruitment at the University of Technology. Kerry-Ann?
All right, thank you, Clinton. It's a pleasure being here tonight. Good afternoon. So we're going to start by introducing you to UTech. And one of the first things that I'm going to discuss is when I got this invitation about exploring educational opportunities, I thought about many tips that persons would look at when they're choosing their university. And I zoned into 4 when I took it from the 7 tips article from CETA. And when we look at distance, sometimes we often wonder to ourselves, how far do we want to go? For some persons, traveling from Manchester to Kingston is very far, while others will think that traveling from Jamaica to Europe would be what they want to do. When you're choosing your university, you also need to look at the course content. Is the university curriculum what you want to study? You also need to look at the support services offered by the university. You may not need them, but you need to know what is offered to students just in case. And finally, the cost. The cost is very important, and sometimes we need to do our research to see if there are scholarships or if there are payment plans offered by the university. So let's now visit our University of Technology, Jamaica. Why would you want to study at UTech? No, UTech is Jamaica's premier university. We've been established in 1958, and we offer several courses of study, from bachelor's to our postgraduate. Our undergraduate degrees are diplomas and certificates. And what we pride ourselves in at UTech is that our courses are innovative, flexible, and relevant. We encourage students to think about UTech, to join our 11,000 students currently. And we pride ourselves in knowing that our graduates are national and regional problem solvers. They really go out and create jobs when we are finished with them at UTech. And we want to position you to develop the world when you leave. Just briefly touching on the different colleges and faculties at UTech. There are 8 colleges and faculties. We won't get into all the details right now, but I will give you some ideas as to the different courses of study that are offered in each colleges and faculties. But before we get into that, I'm going to share with you our entry requirements. Now, we have a standard minimum entry requirements for all our undergraduate courses of study at UTech. We have There are 5 CSEC, including English language and math, and you would see there's an asterisk beside math because we have relaxed maths for some of our courses of study. And for the other 5% of the courses that we offer, you will require CAPE. Now, due to COVID, we have had special arrangements. So if you're at home or you're listening right now and you have not applied to UTech and you have sat some subjects and you're wondering, yes, you can still apply to UTech. You can go on our website and apply online. We also have graduate programs, and the minimum entry requirements for our graduate programs is a bachelor's with a GPA of at least 2.7. Now, we also have prior learning assessment that can help you matriculate into our undergraduate programs and even our bachelor's programs. So you can actually get into a master's program without a bachelor's if you are being assessed by a prior learning assessment. And as I said, all that information can be found on our website. It's utechjamaica.edu.jm. Now that you've heard a bit about UTech, let's hear from some of our students.
Since being a student at UTech Jamaica, I have represented the university locally and internationally, have received scholarships, and have held student leadership positions.
I started at UTech Jamaica at the age of 3 at the Cynthia Shackle Daycare Center, and now I'm back as a student. My experience on campus has been great. The staff are very family-oriented, the ancillary staff, even up to the security.
Performing student ambassadorial duties and being named the highest academic achiever in my faculty are some of my greatest achievements.
My proudest memories include being a recipient of the 60th anniversary scholarship, as well as the ELAP scholarship, and maintaining a GPA of 3.78. Also being a student ambassador. At the end of my degree, I would like to achieve the President's Pin.
UTech Jamaica has done so much for me, and it can do the same for you.
The University of Technology Jamaica, the birthplace.
Okay, so you've heard from some of our students, and the next couple of slides will give you an idea of the different career paths or the different courses of study based in the different colleges and faculties. So our College of Business Administration, that's where we find all our business degrees, bachelor's or MBA or DBA. Then we'll have the College of Health Sciences. That's where we'll find all our applied science areas. So we have nursing, midwifery, pharmacy, pharmaceutical technology, and a wide range of areas connected to the health sciences. Then we have our college, this is oral health and public health, where we have our Doctor of Medical Dentistry. We have our public health, nursing, or environmental health with a major in public health inspector, or public health masters and our food and our meat and other food inspections. So these programs are all very important right now, especially during this COVID time. So if you're interested, you go to our website and apply today. There's also our Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies, where we have degrees in a Bachelor's of Education in Technical Education, and there are also degrees in Communication, Arts, and Technology. There's also programs for you that are associate degrees, and you can see we have relaxed some of our entry requirements. I know the concern is there for math, so there's also a relaxing of math for those with the asterisk. There's a Faculty of Engineering and Computing, where we have several engineering options, 7 that is, and there's our computer science degrees, animation, computer networking, and security. And those degrees, especially for the engineering, would fall in the area where we say the entry requirements will include CAPE in addition to your CSEC. Then we have the Faculty of Law, where we have a Bachelor's of Law, and our degrees at UTech are designed for you to complete them. We're very flexible in 4 years, but we've given students an additional 3 years to complete your degree. The Bachelor's of Law is designed for you to complete it, however, in 3 years. Then we have the Faculty of Science and Sport. That's where we have our degrees that are connected to the science and sport areas. So there's a degree in sports science, where you can major in sports management, athletic training, or arts and science of coaching. There's an applied science degree where you can major in industrial and analytical chemistry or forensic chemistry. There's also actuarial science. There's a degree in math. So there are several areas that we have at UTech that are connected to the science and sport area. There's also the Faculty of the Built Environment. This is the last one and not the least, where we have the Caribbean School of Architecture. It's the only one in the Caribbean. And we pride ourselves in saying that we have a lot of international students fighting their way to get into these architectural studies degrees. In order for you to be an architect, though, you need also to do your master's, which we also offer. And the other degrees connect you to the built environment. So you'll find construction management, you'll find urban and regional planning, you'll find areas in real estate management and valuation. So as I said to you, we have over 90 programs at UTech. So I couldn't have gone through all of them, but you can always go to our website, go to our booklet, download the booklet, and view all the degrees and the specific entry requirements. We also have at UTech what we call an additional academic unit. It's called a UTech Academy, where we have professional courses and courses to help students to matriculate in UTech. So applicants might fall short on some of our entry requirements, especially math and English. So we have those courses designed through the UTech Academy to help applicants to matriculate into our programs. At UTech, we are now institutional accredited, which basically means that our degree our certification is established, and you can transfer this degree anywhere in the world. Our graduates can transfer their degree anywhere in the world. We also have professional certifications, because as you would have noticed that a lot of our degrees are really professionally geared. So you're studying at UTech and you'll definitely know what career path you're taking. So we have partnered with all the professional bodies, so engineering, architecture, pharmacy, nursing, dental. So they have all accredited all programs to give our students seamless transition. How to apply to UTech? It's very easy. You actually apply online. It costs you nothing but time. So we always encourage students to go on the website. At the bottom, you'll see apply online. And it basically takes about 20 minutes. You fill in all your information. You email your supporting documents that are certified copies of your birth certificate and your CSEC or CAPE passes, or for those with the graduate studies, your other qualifications. And I want to stress here that because of the delay in the CSEC results, we have a lot of our programs have now put in place a January intake. For some persons who are still a little bit nervous about still coming to school, not knowing their results, we have put in place application for persons who want to start in January, so you can apply right now. One of the things we also encourage our students is to look about financing your tertiary education. I will always encourage them. First, you look at your savings, and then we talk about loans, and we always encourage our students not to forget SLB. It's an option. We also have scholarships offered through UTech or by UTech, and they're all listed on our website. We also have UTech or payment plans, and it's very flexible. Every academic year, we update our payment plans. So most of the time, we will allow our students to start school with a minimum payment of 50%. We might adjust that this year. We're still working on it. By the end of the week, we'll decide what we'll adjust that to. Students actually pay per semester, and you just ensure to pay at least 50% and the rest by the time you're about to sit your exams in December. We also have support services for our students. So yes, we have a financial aid office. There's a placement center that we try to place our students at the last part of their degree. We have a counseling center for students who are encouraging other issues. We also have our medical center, a full medical center where there are doctors and nurses available to attend to our students. So pretty much that's it about UTech. We encourage you to download our UTech app. It's on Android as well. And our information is on screen. You can WhatsApp us, 418-3095. You can send us a DM, text, Instagram, Facebook. We are all on social media. And to end, I just want to share this video with you.
You know them, the move movers, the shakers, the people making a difference, who never shy away from a challenge, who are never afraid to dirty their hands, to jump in and get things done, who are never afraid to fail, to take a risk, to learn. You know them and aspire to be like them. And you can, because there's always room for greatness. Apply today. University of Technology Jamaica, the birthplace of greatness.
Thank you so much, Kerry-Ann, for that comprehensive presentation. In fact, we did say we have lots of presentation, lots of gifts, prizes, and surprises. I just want to announce the 3 winners we have for the 20,000 Star Savers gift certificates at this time. From Instagram, we have Concrete Rose. You're a winner there. From Twitter, Steve Lawson. And from Facebook, Kelsey Hunter. Of course, here is an opportunity for one to win a book voucher value $1,000. Just tell us the requirements for establishing or to start your undergraduate study at the University of Technology, Jamaica. The first 2 persons on each of our social media page with the correct answer will be selected. We continue, ladies and gentlemen, with our presentation, and we now take aim at AIM. We now go across to Mrs. Nicole McLaren Campbell, from the founder of AIM, who will talk to us about planning for tertiary education here in Jamaica and overseas. Nicole?
Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. I'm hearing a slight echo. I don't know if anybody else is. If you're not, then I'm happy to just continue. Okay, the echo is gone. So first of all, thank you so much to Sagicor for having me. I think this is a super critical conversation, and I'm really, really so eager for parents to be having this thought, this conversation, making these plans earlier rather. So as introduced, Nicole McLaren Campbell, and I primarily help students who want to study overseas, or students go to the US, Canada, through Europe, through UK, because UK is no longer a part of Europe officially. Thank you, Brexit. So they, and they go to Abu Dhabi, they go all over the world. And, there are really some very exciting opportunities that are available to students, globally. And we just like students to be able to explore their options. I do have many students who also go to school locally as well. So I really think it's about what is the best fit for my child. And it's really a great day when, as a parent, you can say that you have planned and you can afford to send them where they want to go, not only where they want to go, but really what's the best fit for them and what's the best opportunity for them. So I'm going to talk a little bit about scholarships, financial aid overseas. What is this thing going to cost you? I know Sagicor has it all covered in terms of how are you going to save and invest to get there. And I'm also aware that I'm speaking to parents and students of all different sorts of ages. So, and I assist with undergraduate studies. So first things first is just understanding what your profile looks like and where it can take you, how much money it can command. And I think what parents and students want to be thinking about here is just really start as early as possible in terms of building out this profile that will be able to attract scholarships. Sometimes parents and students think this way, like, oh, there's so many scholarships out there, there's one put down for me. No, there are none put down for you. You have to do the work to get the scholarship. So there are academic scholarships, which means, you work really hard, go above and beyond in your classes, do more than what is the norm. So for the norm in our system, CSEC, it would be 8 subjects. Try and do 9, even 10 if it is possible, if you can manage it, because then you're going above and beyond, right? Of course, the grades in each subject really count. So the more ones, the better as a rule of thumb. And as it gets more competitive, you really want to be looking at getting all ones if you want to command large sums of money in terms of scholarships. And then, doing the most advanced course of study possible. So CAPE is what follows CSEC. A lot of students, they want to go to university right after CSEC. That is not something I recommend. That is not something that you do if you want to really maximize your scholarships and have the most options possible, right? And so CAPE is an advanced course of study. Regular course load is 4 subjects. You want to get a scholarship, you need to do 5 subjects. I just, right before this meeting, got offline with a student who did 6 CAPE subjects. I can already tell you that this student is going to get a full scholarship. She's probably going to get upwards of $300,000 a year when you look at her profile, because again, has been challenging herself academically, has been doing things like entering the Readers National Reading Competition and winning it, has been doing things. She's about to publish a book of poetry. And these are not things, it's not that hard to become a published author nowadays. It's called Kindle Direct Publishing. Anybody can Google it. But are you gonna go that extra mile? Are you really gonna say, move from, oh, I enjoy poetry to I'm gonna be a published author in poetry? So it's just about, and those kind of moves can be worth $300,000, which is what, over $40 million. That's a lot of money, right? But you can really get that kind of money for college if you have the right sort of profile and if you're competitive enough. But you can't just wake up in 6th form and decide, oh, I need to build a competitive profile to get $40 million in college scholarships. Not how it works at all. You have to be thinking about this from 4th form. You have to select subjects that are the college curriculum subjects. Those are math, English, foreign language, social science, and natural science. And then, you know, score the highest possible. As I said, challenge yourself, go above and beyond. The other thing that colleges look at to award scholarships is SAT and ACT profile. Again, another mistake I see parents and students making. They're not thinking about this until after lower 6. This is something you need to start preparing for after 5th form. And just losing that 1 year could cost you $40 million. So I just find that if parents had the information earlier and acted upon the information earlier, they would literally get millions of dollars in free money for college, but they don't, because again, students don't take action, they don't do the things that are necessary to build this sort of profile. So I guess what I'm here to say is there's a lot of money out there for students who want to study overseas, but you do have to build a scholarship worthy profile. You need to do things like have an impact in extracurricular activities, have leadership at your school, leadership in the community. You know, COVID is here. Colleges are looking to see, well, how are students responding to that? I had a student who just started a virtual book club. Okay, she started it in COVID because her book club couldn't meet anymore at school, so she just did it virtual, got more members than ever. Had another student who was gonna put on a youth conference, COVID hit, she moved the conference online. It's just about pushing our kids in the areas of their interest and encouraging them to be their very best selves, because that is what will attract the scholarships. So one thing is to build a scholarship profile, which you do through academics and extracurricular impact. The second thing you want to do is apply to the schools that have the money to give you and care about the things that you care about that you have done. So one thing is the building out the profile. Second thing is applying to the right institutions that have the money. When it comes to money and financing university, I'm not a believer in the GoFundMe. Okay, I know it's a trend. I know it's what a lot of people are doing, and it does work for some. Like, I helped a student who had a GoFundMe to finish, just to pay off her balance to do her med school exams, and she just wrote, "No, I'm a doctor, thank you so much." Awesome. She's in her final year. She just needed, you know, a few £1,000 to, or not pounds, the FundMe was in pounds, but you get what I'm saying. She just needed like maybe $1 million Jamaican dollars in order to just pay those fees, become a doctor. If you are that close and you can find the right people to help you push the GoFundMe, then it can work. But GoFundMe is not a 4-year college plan. GoFundMe is not the plan to pay for your fees at UTech or any overseas university, right? You want to be thinking about the options that were mentioned about SLB, all those things, but you really want to be thinking, what does it take to get large scholarships? How can I build that out? And then, of course, I'm going to say, I really do believe that if you're going for the big money, you want to get help. Use expert. And I'm not just saying that because I happen to be an expert. It don't have to be me. But I find that what parents do is they don't invest in the preparation of the student and the strategy to get the scholarships. And then they get hit with a big bill that they either have to take out loans for or then pay because they didn't invest on the front like beforehand, you know. So it makes sense to invest in the prep for your child to get the best score that they can get. Invest in the strategy to help them build out their extracurricular plan. Invest in the strategy to be like which schools are the ones that give the money. Because there's a reason that college access professionals exist, consultants like me exist. And again, it don't have to be us, but it should be somebody who has experience, who has a track record, who knows where to look. Because honestly, there are over 4,000 universities in the US alone. So when you're starting from scratch and you're trying to get this big money, it's not necessarily always the best thing to just be trying to like do it on your own. There's a lot of money at stake. And I would then end with saying a lot of my students also go to Canada and, as I said, Europe. Those schools tend to be way cheaper. So I think from a planning perspective, if it is that the parent has saved and they're at, okay, well, I can afford, 20,000 euros a year, or I can afford 30,000 US a year, then you want to be looking at Canada and Europe because that's around what those schools cost. Yes, they have way less scholarship availability. I mean, in the UK, you're really not getting anything. And even if you have a UK passport, you're still not getting anything unless you've been resident there for 3 years. But if I have a lot of clients who they're in that $30,000 a year affordability margin, and you want to either look at schools that are good at meeting you halfway in the US, because in the US, a private school is going to be 60,000, 70,000, 80,000 US a year, right? But there are some schools that will give a tuition discount and meet you halfway if you can pay half fee. And then in Europe and UK, Europe, UK, and Canada, the fees are in and around that area anyway, so that would be able to meet budget. And I would just end by saying that you need to take a long-term approach to your child's education if it is that they want to do a second degree after they've done the first degree, and if it is that you plan to help them with that, then it makes sense to go all in for undergraduate to get the scholarships, right? And then to invest at the master's level in what they want to do if they're sure that that's what they want to do. I have some students, for example, they come and they want to do medicine. I said, okay, you need to go to UWI. And I'm glad Miss Bolero Horton is here because I'm sure she's going to talk about that, because they want to, it doesn't make sense a lot of time financially to look at doing a medical degree in the US when you could do it in Jamaica. And then if you want to do residency, for example, you could do it overseas. So I just think that we need to be just led by the type of student that or child that we have, what their ambitions are both for undergraduate and graduate, and to make wise and smart financial decisions when it comes to education. Try and get as much free money for college as possible.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nicole. Very comprehensive presentation there. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, here's another opportunity for you one to win a book voucher valued at $1,000. Just tell us one requirement for actually studying overseas. And clearly you would have seen the trend so far. If you listen keenly to the presentations, you can be a big winner. Just put your answers in the comments. The first two persons from each of our social media pages with the correct answer will be selected. May I just invite those persons who would have heard their name so far being a winner, just to indicate, just text us your correct name and telephone number so we can make contact with you. We'll take a commercial break and we'll be right back. Thank you so much and welcome back. At this point, we're going to take a look at, planning for tertiary education here in Jamaica, looking at the opportunities from the University of the West Indies Mona campus. And to take us through that is Mrs. Marjorie Bolero Horton, who is the Assistant Registrar. Marjorie?
Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, everyone. This is Margie Valero Horton, and I am very happy to be sharing with you this afternoon about the UWI. Now, if one is going to think about higher education or university education, certainly the number one that comes to mind when you're thinking about the Caribbean or the English-speaking Caribbean is the University of the West Indies. And there's a PowerPoint. Can I see that, please? Number one is the University of the West Indies. I want to just give you some figures that there are universities that are under 100 years old, and the UWI is one of those. And out of 14,789 such universities, the University of the West Indies comes at 92nd. In the Caribbean, there are 209 universities, and the UWI is the number one. It's the number one. And globally, we fall among the top 4% best universities in the world. Now, that speaks for itself because Times Higher Education is the most creditable assessing body for higher education globally. So the UWI, just a little bit about the UWI. So we are the longest serving, the most long lasting, or the oldest in the English speaking Caribbean. We now have 5 campuses, and our reach is beyond the Caribbean, but we have those countries, 17 main countries, which form the UWI local bodies, and they contribute to the university. We are one of only 2 regional universities. And we want to say that our population is very diverse, both students and staff, diverse population that we have. Now, parents, I know you're there, and I heard Nicole talking to you a while ago, but I just want to say to you, you are your child's biggest champion for higher education. And so we want to speak with you today because when we did the research, and not only local research, but international research shows that 90% of students, or 70% of students, go to where their parents want to go. The decision is a family one. It is not just the child who will, it's a we. And personally, I have so many parents calling me from time to time within this time. They are the anxious ones. Sometimes the children call, but sometimes the students. And I will give you my number afterwards if you wish to call. You have 2 roles. Yours is a champion. You're there to encourage them, to support them, and to help financially. And if you're going to be encouraging your child to study, then certainly if your child is going to come to the University of the West Indies, you need to know what are the requirements for the University of the West Indies and what the child wants to do. Okay. Could you give me the next slide, please? Right. So UWI, why the University of the West Indies, Mona? You heard some of those fees for the international universities. Now your child is going to come to UWI for a fraction of what it is there. The most expensive of our program is the medical sciences, the MBBS program, and the dentistry and the MBBS programs. The others, which are 28,000 US, like the pharmacy and engineering, law, those are like 10,000 US, and some of the medical programs are even less. For example, nursing is 5,000 US dollars. So all that other money that you would spend for them to go away, you could save it for them, invest it, and they could study here at this globally recognized university and go for their masters if they, they wish to go. I remember a parent saying to me, I'm glad you came to my child's school because we were intent on going away. But when you came and you spoke and you said, okay, let's go to UWI. So you hear that again. Let's go to UWI. When they went to UWI, she called me back 5 years after. She said, I'm so glad you came. I wanted to tell you before. Then he went to do his master's in the UK. She said he's doing excellently because what he did at UWI is just helping him. He's advancing ahead of his peers in the US. So on-campus accommodation for those who have to be there. We have a rich scholastic heritage. Now, there are 8 faculties. These are the broader teaching areas under which our programs fall. And 7 of them are at Mona: the sciences, medical sciences, humanities and education, law, social sciences, engineering, and our newest faculty, the Faculty of Sport, under which kinetics, sport kinetics, and sport coaching will fall. We have over 300 programs, so I will not be able to tell you all the programs that we have, but I've certainly highlighted a few which some of you will not know that exist. So a part of why our ranking, one of the main tenets under which we were ranked is because of our research, our international research. Our researchers are known globally, and so that promulgated us into our position where we are now as we continue to be the leader of research in the Caribbean, not only UWI Mona, but the UWI as a whole. Could you move it for me, please? Right, now we wanted to tell you a little, some of our programs that are there. Now, parents and students, COVID has taught us something. I have been reading a lot in this COVID time in the things that come up. Some of the careers that existed prior to COVID will be no more. So when you're thinking of studies, you are now going to have to look to see what are the careers that are going to be alive and well post-COVID, and what are some of the ones that are coming out now. Now, I just took some of the programs from the humanities and education, and these are some programs which you certainly will be helpful to you, which will help you to go out into the world of work and make a difference for yourself. And university education is not only a personal one, but it is also a national one, because government invests in you. And when you're educated, when our students are better educated, have university education, then certainly the country is going to advance, and the region will also advance, because it's not only for the region, but also global. So there are some programs there: sign language interpreting, digital media production, entertainment and cultural enterprise management, education, the literatures in English, films. All of those careers that I have listed there fall under the humanities. And they are certainly careers that are live and well and will continue post-COVID. So do your research in those areas so that you will have a vibrant career going forward. I've also listed some other programs that some persons might not be aware of. Could you bring up the slide for me? There are some other programs. Now, the University of the West Indies has always had a faculty of engineering, mainly at St. Augustine, but the UWI Mona for the past 8 or 9 years. Now we now have several branches of engineering, and some of them I have listed there. I've listed some of them like persons who like the sciences, chemistry and management, their computer science, computer studies, information technology, science education. Now I put this one in specifically because I know the government is promoting the science education, and they're putting their money where their mouth is. So if your child likes this and would like to teach, they can come to the University of the West Indies and study at the expense of the government, because we want to promote for development. You certainly need the sciences. And here we are, there's medical physics, and there's a social work. With all things that are happening, we will need more social workers. So we encourage some of you to become social workers. Now, along with the academic areas that are there, you are going to have a vibrant student life. Now, I have this particular picture here because what we do have is a diverse student population. Under normal circumstances, our university has students from about 40 or 50 different countries, and our students also can go on what we call exchange or study abroad. So they go to the Caribbean, or they can go to the UK, Sweden, Norway, Denmark. One of our set of programs that we have is our students go to China. So they finish the software engineering, they can complete software engineering at Mona, or they can go one aspect of it in China. So the UWI is not only local, regional, but we are global. We have centers in Africa, in Europe, in Canada, in the UK, and we have some of these are established already, and master's programs are being offered at these centers. Now, when you're thinking of university, what do you need to get in? What are the requirements? Because you could have all the money, if you do not have the specific academic requirements or non-academic requirements, then you are not going to be able to actualize your dream. And in a research I did again with all our incoming students, which graduated last year, these incoming students, 70% of them, their first choice for university was the University of the West Indies. The University of the West Indies. And where the UWI fell below that, it was just a few, and those had international universities where they had wanted to go. So here are some of the subjects that we have. 5 subjects normally, 2 or more at the advanced level. Depending on what you want to do, of course, the medical sciences have set number of subset subjects that you have. So if you're interested in medicine or pharmacy or dentistry and some of the others like the basic medical sciences, anatomy, physiology, all of those you will need to have chemistry CSEC, biology CSEC, chemistry, biology, mathematics, English, and physics. You will need those. If you're interested in pharmacy, at the CAPE level, you need to have either mathematics or physics along with your biology and your chemistry. Too many times persons come and they don't know that, and so they reach and can't get into the area they want because the pharmacy council wants mathematics or physics if you're going to do any of those. But at the moment, you heard about the relaxation of the requirements for this year because of COVID. So our application is still open, and we are taking applications for persons today. So parents, you can apply to if you're interested in a program. Many of them are going to be offered online for now because we are not sure going forward what is happening. But as our registrar said on the news yesterday, that we will have some things online and some will be offered face-to-face. We will see, depending on what the government says, how we go about that. So find out what are the requirements. Some areas, like if they're interested in the business-related areas, they need to have mathematics as well as English language. Mathematics and English are compulsory for the business areas, and the other supporting subjects are fine. One of the good things about UWI is that students can study we could call it more than 1 degree, so call it a major. So they could do 2 majors. So if somebody is interested in a modern language, for example, they want to do French. So you could probably do French and mathematics or French and sociology. Yes? And so when you shall have left the university, you are going to be able to work in any one of those areas that you wish. Sometimes they can do 3 areas. You can do what is called a major and 2 minors. So that allows you to do those 3 areas. So there's that flexibility for our students. Now, we also have an academic support unit that supports our students. They come in, sometimes students come in, they're not in an area that they thought that was what they wanted, but it is not so. So they have the academic support unit that's there for them. Then there is the placement and career services. Many come in and again, they have a challenge because what they thought they were going into is not what it is. So the romance is lost there. And so we have our placement and career services, which will help to deal with our students. Now, our students are not only academic, but we have to remember that when they're going out, there are softer skills that are needed when they study. So the Office of Student Services, the Office of the Director of Student Services, they are responsible for the out-of-classroom learning experiences of our students, whether hall life, sports, all of those they are responsible for. Now, so at the UWI, all the exciting things are there. Our students are so engaged. When the COVID came about, and I remember asking many of them, how were they fitting in on the online? They said things were fine, except that they missed their friends. And so we're saying to you, parents, while you're there with your students, sometimes parents study with their students too, with their children. So we encourage you to look up one of the program. You too can apply at this time, because many of the programs are offered online. So we look forward to hearing from you for that. And so I'd like to say, I see my time is up. So I want to say thank you. And I'm going to leave my number with you. So should you want to call, please just send me a WhatsApp. So I'm going to leave my WhatsApp number with you. It is 876-469-0471. Whatever question you have, you can send it and I will direct it to the relevant persons. Thank you again for making it the UWI, and we look forward to welcoming you or your child to UWI. Thank you.
She's a pilot. She's a surfer. And he is an astronaut. Kids will be kids, happy and carefree. But as a parent or grandparent, you have to care more, because you know sometimes life is not all smiles. That's why we created Child Protector, a critical illness insurance plan from Sagicor Life, covering 15 critical illnesses and providing hospitalization benefits, life insurance, and investment. So make sure your child can live life to the fullest. Secure their future now. Apply for Sagicor Child Protector.
Welcome back. We want to thank Mrs. Orton for that very, very comprehensive presentation. Of course, if you have any question about the Sagicor Child Protector Plan, please send that to us by hashtagging Ask Sagicor, and of course, we'll respond to you. Here's another opportunity for you to win a book voucher valued at $1,000. Just simply answer this simple question. Name one requirement for starting your undergraduate studies at the University of the West Indies. It doesn't get easier than that. Of course, the first two persons from each of our social media page with the correct answer will be selected. At this point, we're going to move over again to Mrs. Natalie Wedderburn, to actually talk to us about how can one use a credit card to finance back-to-school expenses. And not just a credit card, but a Sagicor Bank credit card. Natalie.
Thank you so much, Clinton. So this time I'm going to be talking to you about how you can use your Sagicor Bank credit card to finance your educational expenses or back-to-school expenses. Now, your Sagicor Bank credit card acts as a short-term loan. That means you're borrowing money from the bank now to make a purchase that you'll pay for at a later date. Now, for those large purchases, that laptop that the child needs, because we're now in the virtual learning space, the school fees or the tuition fees, because as Kerry-Ann said, they have payment plans. You make those purchases now and you pay for them later. You can get up to 55 days interest-free or 2 payment cycles to make this payment. Now, your Sagicor Bank card can also assist you with emergency or unplanned expenses. Now, this one is close to my heart. With the advent of COVID, the kids have been at home for an extended period. So you find yourself going to the supermarket more. They're at home. So, of course, the JPS bill gone up. So you're making those not unplanned, but you're making those day-to-day expenses nonetheless, and those recurring monthly expenses. Once you use your Sagicor Bank credit card, you can earn extra perks in the form of reward points. Now at Sagicor Bank, you earn 1% back on all your purchases. So when you use your card, you can redeem those points now for cashback. Now with the cashback, you can now use that cashback to go and buy books and other school supplies for back to school. The points can also be redeemed for traveling. As Nicole said, if your child is awarded a scholarship overseas, you can get travel benefits, so you can fly for free if you get if you use your card as you'll be using it anyway for your back-to-school expenses. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd also want to speak to us about using cards responsibly. We spoke about financial discipline before. So I just wanted to share some tips with you that you can utilize. Now, you should pay your card on time. You should stay within your limit and pay more than your minimum payment. Remember, use the card for anything that you're usually going to be using cash or a debit card to do, and earn your rewards and use those points for the cash back so you can buy those books and other incidentals that the child will need. Now, in addition to that, if you have a child that is going to be at the university, boarding, or overseas, you can give that child a supplemental card so that they can use it for their incidentals. You don't have to give them your limit. You can give them a smaller limit. You don't have to worry about sending a Western Union or wire transfer. Once you sit in your office or your home and make a payment to your card, they have access to those monies. So that's the convenience that it offers. So speaking of the best rewards ever, Sagicor Bank, as I said, with a Sagicor Bank credit card, you earn 1% back. Right now, we're having a promotion where you can earn 5% on your back-to-school purchases and tuition fees. So right now, you're earning up to 6% in rewards. So if you do not have a Sagicor Bank card, it's never too late. So we invite you to check our website, www.sagicor.com, to get more information on our current promotions as well as how to apply for your Sagicor Bank credit card. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll now hand over back to Clinton.
Thank you so much, Natalie. In fact, at this point, I want to make a number of persons very happy or even more happy. To go back to the UTech questions, we have some winners here. Tiffany Andreen Medley, that's from Instagram, and Nicey Brown. On Facebook, Lavana Parks and Misha Brody. On Twitter, Curtis Jam. As it relates to the overseas question, that's the AIM section, we have on Instagram, Educated Miles and Ramon Stunas. On Facebook, Corey Morrison and Bibi Johnson. From UWI, in terms of the UWI section, Sweetness Coombs, Patricia Malodo, and Peter Gay Givens. So those are all winners so far. Of course, coming out of the credit card presentation, you have an opportunity here to win a book voucher, again valued at $1,000, by just simply answer the question. Just indicate one way that you can sign up for a Sagicor Bank credit card. Just put your answers in the comment section, and the first 2 persons from each of our social media page with the correct answer will be selected. We're moving on nicely. We want to go now to Miss Kerry-Ann Forrester, our mortgage manager, to talk to us how one can utilize the equity in one's home to finance educational expenses.
Good evening, everyone. As Clinton said, I'll be speaking to you about how to use your home to finance your child's education. Now, we've heard the term, make your money work for you. However, do you know that your house can also work for you? And you might be wondering how. Well, this can be done by using the equity in your home. And you're wondering, what is equity? If the property is mortgage-free, the value is the equity. If it is that you have an existing mortgage on the property, the equity would be the difference between the mortgage balance and the value. Now, how can you use this value or this equity to access funds to fund your child's education? Now, one way, when we speak about funding education, we're speaking about tuition, back to school, we're speaking about tuition, we're speaking about books, we're speaking about boarding, and now with COVID, of course, laptop, because of course, virtual learning is now our new normal. So when we're speaking about tuition, we want to ensure that we have the tuition to cover the 4 years of college, and we need to plan. So we encourage you that if you're taking the home equity loan to fund the tuition for the child, we encourage you to take the full amount. So if it is that the total cost of the education, which includes boarding, tuition, books, and as I said, that laptop or whatever other electronic devices are needed, we're going to include that entire cost into providing for the 4 years, so that after you pay the first year, you don't need to be worried about what am I going to do for the other 3 years. So you want to plan to ensure that everything is covered, you won't need to worry. Now you might be saying, well, I have too many loans and I'm not able to access this funding for my child. However, the good news is we can consolidate all your debts and give you that extra funds you need to finance your child's education. Now, with COVID, we have all been stuck at home. Children are learning from home, we're working from home, and it is maybe now a little boring. We want to say, okay, we want to get out. I mean, there is life after COVID. And after COVID, we probably want to travel. The home equity loan can also be used to finance this. And being stuck at home, we're getting the JPS bills. The utilization has been higher, so we're getting those bills every month. And we're probably now thinking that, okay, we probably should go solar. With the home equity loan, this can also be used to finance that installation. And I want to point out that our home equity loans, yes, we're saying you can use it for back to school. However, if you have other needs, if these needs are also a part of what you need, we can give you one low monthly payment using your home as the security. If it is that you're interested, we're going to encourage you to visit any one of our branches, and our personal banking officers will be happy to assist you, and we'll make the process easy, simple, and personal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carrie-Ann. Thank you so much, Carrie-Ann. At this point, I just want to make a couple more persons happy. In terms of the credit card question, from Instagram we have Kay Pennant and Tiana Stevens, Facebook Shania Collins and Nisha. Certainly, for those viewers who continue to be with us, we thank you for staying with us, and we want to give you an opportunity now to win a book voucher valued at 10,000 Jamaican dollars. Just tell us simply how to sign up for Sagicor Bank Home Equity Loan. You know the drill. Just type your answers in the comment section, and the first person on each of our social media page with the correct answer will be selected. We go for a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Now, of course, we invite you to get your questions all ready. Those pressing questions that you need to have answered. Of course, if you have a question for a member of our panel, we ask that you raise your hands in the chat, at which time we'll unmute your microphone, or if you prefer to ask your question in the chat using the hashtag #AskSagicorBank. So we're moving nicely. I don't see any questions up just yet. All right, no questions up just yet. I think it has been very comprehensive so far, well, digested. So at this point, I will ask Mrs. Nikisha Bonick Magnus, the Assistant Branch Manager, Dominica Drive. Just a quick minute.
She's a pilot. She's a surfer. And he is an astronaut. Kids will be kids, happy and carefree. But as a parent or grandparent, you have to care more because you know sometimes life is not all smiles. That's why we created Child Protector, a critical illness insurance plan from Sagicor Life, covering 15 critical illnesses and providing hospitalization benefits, life insurance, and investment. So make sure your child can live life to the fullest. Secure their future now. Apply for Sagicor Child Protector today.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We have a question here. How early should one start planning for your child's tertiary education? I pose that UTech. You probably want to take that. How early should one start planning for tertiary education?
Well, I normally encourage our students or parents to start studying as soon as you hit high school, because that's when have an idea that you want to move on to tertiary education. So I normally encourage them to start saving as soon as you hit high school.
Thank you so much for that. How much should one save, or should one save for one child's education? I know it varies, but at minimum, one has to start saving. As I say, every little mickle make a muckle, as it were. How much should one really start saving on a monthly basis? Karen, you have any idea? What would you say?
As you say, it would vary. It depends on what the person can save. We're told that we should think about ourselves first. So saving is our first expense. So we look at our budget. Our budget should be done monthly. And then based on what our salary is, we can then decide how much it is would be a good amount to save.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. I don't know if any other member of the panel have an idea that you would want to expose. No? All right. I mean, yes. Marjorie has a.
Yes. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you now.
Okay. With regards to when should you start saving for your child's university education, I'd say from birth, because so quickly they reach high school and finished. And so many of the successful students that you see and they have something is because they start saving from they were born, putting something aside. Certainly, many persons that I know, that's what they do. And they have organized like Heritage and other things, and some of the banks and so on. And like your bank too, they can start early an education fund. Because if they don't start, they quickly reach university and you might not be ready at that time. So I say start early for that. As to how much you should put away, based on how life is going, one might never know. But as much as you can, I read a book, said The Richest Man in Babylon was one who always put something down. So some months you might not be able to do so, but other times you can. And some people go to partner plans and other things, and they save incrementally. Encourage a child also to save. They shouldn't spend everything that they have. They should see it as an investment in themselves. And I remember an ad which says, if one less cell call is your advancement to university. So I'd encourage not only the parents, but the children to start saving. And so like your bank now, which has a minimum of $200 for them to start an account. So I'd say start there and early.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Marjorie. That's a good segue into this question. At what age can a child get a Star Savers account? Natalie?
Yes, so as I said, it's good to start saving early. So all you need is a birth certificate for that child to open, for you to open that account. So as soon as you have the birth certificate, so from birth, basically, you can start that account.
And I'll stay with you with this follow-up question. At what age does a Star Saver account expire?
It doesn't have to expire. It is an account that can take the child up to university. So it really doesn't have to expire. We can transfer that account to another account for the child when they get older, and they can now manage their money on their own.
Thank you so much for that, Natalie. At this point, we move. Do we have Do we have any other questions coming up? Yes, another question here from one of our viewers. Can I get a credit card in time for back to school? Can I get a credit card in time for back to school?
Certainly. We encourage you to visit our website now and complete the form, www.sagicor.com. Send that in. We will ensure that your application is expedited. Thank you.
There you have it, viewers. Sagicor remain firmly in your corner. Yes? All right. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we have been moving very, very nicely. I now invite Mrs. Nikisha Bonick Magnus, the Assistant Branch Manager, Dominica Drive, to move the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Sagicor Bank, Jamaica, I would like to extend our warmest appreciation and gratitude to all the speakers for taking the time to share such valuable and useful information. I would like to thank Michael Willisey for setting the mood for the webinar, as well as our moderator, Clinton Hunter, for a very interactive session. Thanks to Natalie Weatherburn for sharing with us information on our Star Savers account, the benefits of using Sagicor Bank's credit cards, and the importance of saving early for your child. Many thanks to Karen Forrester for enlightening us on how to use the equity in our home to fund back-to-school expenses. A special thanks to our distinguished panelists, Carrie Ann White, Marjorie Bolero Horton, Nicole McCarran Campbell for their excellent presentations and making this webinar tremendously interesting and meaningful. I would like to also thank our online viewers and participants, and congratulations to all our winners. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikisha. This has been another productive discussion in the Sagicor Bank Financial Enrichment Series. If you didn't get a chance to have your questions answered, we do apologize. However, send us a direct message and one of our representatives will reach out to you. For the winners of today's gifts, vouchers, and book certificates, a representative will contact you for further details. Thank you for joining and staying with us. We'll see you next time. Stay safe and stay healthy.
I am just a little girl, but I have big dreams. And one day, all my dreams are going to come true. That's why I'm glad Mommy opened a Sagicor Bank Star Savers account for me. It's the best gift she could ever give me, because one day I won't be little anymore, and my small savings are going to grow big. I even got my own debit card. Give your child a gift that will grow. Open a Sagicor Bank Star Savers account today.